What's up, graphic designers? We're going to take some inspiration from these individuals where we have an athlete or an actor. You're going to find a hero or LMU subject or a labby of your choice, and we're going to slice them and dice them. We're going to be using blending modes and layer styles, and we're going to be creating something that looks a little bit like these. So we're going to talk about how to set it up. It's a little tricky to start, but ultimately I'm confident you can produce something that looks a little bit like this. We've got lots of details. I believe in you guys. Here's the future of LMU athletics, at least in the spring of 2025. So where do we begin? How do we start? We're going to download the sliced and diced blank, which you'll see in the assignment itself. And when we do, what we're then going to need to find is our subject. So here is this draft that I just started working on about an hour ago, and it took me a while to identify the images that I wanted to use and think about how I was going to partition this individual in a way that makes sense for me. So the very first thing I did was create a layer mask, isolate Jeremy, and then I'm going to press Command A, and then Command Option C to copy everything. We're going to press Command V to paste them in, and we're going to take advantage of all this space. All right. The next thing that we're going to do is maybe apply levels, Command M. I'm going to press Command J just so we're safe. And I'm going to make white in the foreground. I'm going to press B for brush, and I'm going to right click. And I notice the size is at 156, the hardness is at 100%. We're going to leave a hardness at 100%. We're going to drop the size to 40. I think that's going to be like a dimension that works well. We're going to create a new layer. And so this is going to be creating the divide. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to go like this because this doesn't look super professional, right? We want clear, straight lines moving horizontally and vertically. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click once, and now I'm holding Shift, and I'm cutting all the way across. And I want to keep his eyes separate, his mouth separate, and now I'm going to click once, I'm holding Shift, and we've got a vertical line, another vertical line, and you're going to think about like what makes sense for your design. Cool. I'm gonna click here, and this looks pretty fun so far. Okay, you're gonna think about what makes sense for yours. Okay, so what's up next? I know that if I created a new layer, and hypothetically it's blue, paint bucket, we're gonna put this in the background. I can see that we've got all these white lines going along the perimeter, and it's not really sort of sealing up. And what we want to do is contain all the little cells in our hero. And there's a few different ways we can do that. I'm gonna go to layer 1, and I'm gonna label it gutters. We'll just call it lines to keep it simple. So we got the lines, right? I'm gonna press Command J. I'm gonna make a copy. I'm gonna hold Command, and I'm gonna click on Jeremy's face, the Jeremy layer, and you'll notice that creates a selection all the way around him, right? That's an interior layer. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna press Command Shift I to invert this selection. Actually, I'm gonna press Command Shift I again. So I don't wanna, well, I'm gonna keep it simple. Hold Command, click on the Jeremy layer in the layers palette, and if we now use the paint bucket and we press G, we know that it's gonna fill in this little space right here. If we press Command Shift N, enter, it's gonna fill in this entire space. But what we're gonna do is we don't wanna do that. So I'm gonna press Command Z to undo that. We're gonna invert the selection by pressing Command Shift I. And if we now click on the outside, you're going to see it's just the exterior. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to press Command Z one more time. And instead of pink in the foreground, I'm going to have white in the foreground. And now that fills that whole space. And what I'm going to do is if we press Command E, that's going to merge layer 4 with the lines copy. So now, if I hide this, you can see this is just what's left, right? Let's see, and even if we hide this background and we hide the blue, you can see everything that's on the inside is transparent. And so now we're going to start sort of filling in the gaps. That makes sense for me. This is exciting. I like what we're doing. So you're going to think about what elements do you want to have desaturated, and what elements do you want to embed players or objects or scenarios that you think look pretty cool. So I'm actually going to press. You could press Command A, Command Shift C, or Command C simply. I'm just gonna use a rectangular. Marquee, making sure the new slate layer is selected. I'm gonna grab a selection. I'm gonna press Command C. I'm gonna return to our hero, and I'm gonna pop him in. Well, pop the girls volleyball in this lower left-hand corner. I'm gonna press Command V, and I'm gonna drop this down just a tad. I'm going to press Command minus to zoom out. I'm going to press Command T, and we're going to think about like what makes sense for you. All right, so let's say this is what we're looking for. And okay, great. What we can do now is if we want to isolate just the girls volleyball within that cell, I'm going to use the magic wand tool, and I'm going to click on the lines copy at the very top layer. And now when I make a selection, it's going to squeeze in just that area, so nothing beyond the white lines or the white gutters. And when we return to layer 4 and we apply a layer mask, that looks cool. Okay, and what I also know is if we wanted to apply a blending mode, for example, I'm going to press Command J, Command Shift U, always a little bit of levels to make the lights a little bit lighter, the darks a little bit darker. And what I'm going to do now is hold Command, and I'm going to click on the layer mask. Alternatively, we could use the magic wand on the lines copy. I'm going to create a new layer, and then we can select a color. Pink is right there in the foreground. Paint bucket, Command DV, and holding Shift and cycling through the blending mode. I like overlay. I think that looks kind of cool. You guys are going to find one that you think works for you. The color blending mode also works well. So this is how we're going to do it. And ultimately, we're going to create something that looks a little bit like this. And you're going to notice that, for example, on this one right here, is if we disable the layer mask, you can see that this is the entire image. However, I was able to isolate just the interior of the hat and then create use the object selection to have this picture bleed through the perimeter. Here we've got some blending modes. You're going to think about what works well for you. I'm super excited. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Good luck.